Hey, we're back here with Dan Patrick. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed all the past interviews with Dan and learning some of the behind the scenes history from him. So Dan, tell us now where you at in Patrick world with the enterprises and family life and stuff.
Well, where we're at today is, I was going to completely retire about 5 years ago, then, Rick, which is now my son-in-law, he's driving now, and so now he's kind of infused us with going on to the next generation and staying intact. And so that's what we're doing. He's driving. He took over, when Allison decided she didn't want to drive anymore. So he runs the truck operation part of it and stuff, and we cater to what he needs and everything. And so I physically don't go to many shows anymore. I got my 30 years of road travel in my Good Sam card. It's completely filled up. So I'm doing more in developing new parts, and we're up to 7 people now in the shop, and it had just a great crew. I have a 20-year-old girl that is just a phenomenal welder, and plus my other welders that are great. So I'm not in the fab shop much. But I've spent most of my time in the machine shop, and then we have a satellite shop that does a lot of, probably half of the work they do is for us.
Okay.
And then, and so the young man there, it's a father-son deal, because all of us small guys, as you know, we all work with small shops. Mm-hmm. And so that makes us, in turn, a large shop.
Yeah.
So, we have a laser shop that we're involved in, so there's 2 lasers there. So, the old days, I had a pattern torch, and it took a week with that pattern torch and grinder and polisher and all that to make all the brackets for one chassis.
Oh yeah.
And now.
Well, and probably a grinder and a welder. That's how everybody started.
And a tubing bender and a porta-band. I did all my notching with a porta-band, and then later with a mill. Now we have machines just for that. So. And you look back, it's like, how did I do it then versus what we have now? And then, we have all this automated, equipment and things like that. My philosophy was in my shop, I'm not going to own that piece of equipment if I can't run that piece of equipment.
Yeah.
And so I've learned the hard way. I've crashed a few machines over the years. And what crashing means is like when they just bang into each other. Yeah. This guy didn't understand what this guy said, and boom. But anyway, so we're back to this thing 30 years ago, or close to 30 years ago, when I went to work for Bob. We're trying to when we got into racing, we were trying to race with a 17,000 pound truck with a 460 cubic inch Lincoln Continental motor, we used to call them, with a 671 street blower on gas. It couldn't make 500 horsepower. They might have thought they had big power, but I come from Poland where we had 600-inch KB Hemis with 1471s on that made 2,500 to 3,000 horse. Then I come back to this they said, well, why don't you put that motor in there? And that's kind of what happened there. Getting back is these guys would to go faster, they put bigger motors in, and they were more out of control.
Yeah.
And so it's all about the balance.
Yeah.
So what we're trying to do now is we're looking at developing a truck that's 25% lighter across the board.
Okay. The
sad part about it, it's expensive.
Yeah.
Because when I first started tractor pulling with a 5,000 pound tractor, I had a 396 Chevy in it, one motor with 23 30-inch tractor tires on it just to get in that class. And when I quit pulling, I had 2 supercharged Chevys in it and 30-inch tires, didn't wait to play with.
Yeah.
There's just involving. So you take the evolution of where we were from, say, 89 to about 95. There was a lot of evolution quick.
Oh yeah.
Okay. And so now it's slowed down, and it's still, don't get me wrong, it's still evolving. Our chassis, and other chassis and stuff. to do what you do now. Now I use the terms like, when we used to build our trucks back then, they were all about show too.
Yeah.
And nobody showed up at the show with the truck that was wrecked from the last show.
Yeah.
And now that's commonplace.
Yeah.
So it's changed. And when I first started building trucks for U.S. Hot Rod, they said they don't have to be show trucks like you do, and because they use the term rental drivers, we're putting hired drivers in, they're going to tear them up. So later on, it was hard for me to let that go. So I said, we build dresses for prom queens, and you're taking them to a cockfight with no chances of winning, and they're coming home all tore up. Okay, and for people who don't know what cockfights are, they're chicken fights.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
and so roosters. But anyway, so all right, what we're doing is we're trying to evolve into the next thing. When our industry, is down now because all the buildings are closed. Hopefully, the open air, this summer, those events will come back up. Everything's going to come back up, but it's going to be a little slow.
Yeah.
We'll come back up to what it was eventually.
Yeah.
So we want to be there when that time comes.
Well, now tell us about your family life. Your grandpa.
I am a grandpa.
You're a family man.
Well, I've always been a family man, but I'm grandpa now, and we got 3. We got Patrick from my oldest daughter, Natalie, and he'll be 4 in January. And I don't get to see him much because he lives in Columbus. And then I have Hadley, which will be 3 in January. And then we have a new one, Hudson, he was born in April. And so we live on a compound, kind of 15 acres, and in my house, the shop, then Allison and Rick live in a house beside us. So, so it's 24/7, everybody pretty much. And so John Forrest made a comment one time. He says, you raise your children, you work all the time to provide for your children, and make sure they got a roof over their head, they got clothes, they're fed, and they're taken care of. But you're spending so much time doing that, you miss out. And I missed out on a lot traveling, because it was a one-man show for a long time, and it'd be gone 5, 6, 7 weeks at a time, and it was tough. And I didn't realize so much then, but my kids kind of mentioned it later in interviews. I would hear it from an interview they did, not from telling me. But John Forrest says, now when you have grandchildren, he says, they own you. And they do. They literally own you. Hadley will come up and grab my finger, and we're off. We're gone. No matter what I'm in the middle of, we're gone. Okay. And John Forrest immediately come in and he says, there's toys under his desk. And he says, if the CEO from Ford's over there, I may have a grandkid under there playing with their toys. And he says, and as important as that man is to me, that kid's still going to play with their toys.
Well, and that's what's missing in this country is families, the core family. And if you guys can spend time with your families, do it. And that's one neat thing about the monster truck industry. It's been a family-oriented motorsport from day one. But hey, hopefully you guys have enjoyed this episode with Dan. Hit the like button, subscribe. We got to get busy. We're ready to do a show. Have a good one.